Hey guys, this is James.
Hey, this is Meat.
Yeah, back for InBetweenIsode number 77. Back by popular demand is Meat. I had him on. I was like, "This is your last time." I said, "No matter what," and then everyone was like, "We like this guy better than you." So we're not kicking me off the show because the show is my InBetweenIsodes are a dictatorship. So I have ultimate say on who comes and who goes, and I'm not leaving, guys. So Meat, you cannot be my replacement.
Leave.
Yeah. This is my apartment.
If people want, I'll come here and film my episodes. I'm kidding.
Someone actually suggested that.
To come here to your apartment and film episodes?
Yeah, they're like, we just want Meat to talk about it. He's a picky guy. He knows his tea. He's got a budget. Yeah. So, anyways, what are we drinking today?
So we periscoped a little bit beforehand, and we talked about how one of the teas is going to be a 2005 raw pour TG20, but first we're going to try out the 2005 aged white tea called Zeng or
Zhenghe.
There we go. That's better. Zhenghe.
Yep. So you can see we have 5 grams of that Zhenghe right here.
Nice.
So you can see
and you received a 25-gram sample from the...
Yep. So this is the February Tea Club, even though it's something like April. Sorry, guys. We filmed these ahead of time. And so look how many leaves this just like fills up, how fluffy it is.
Yeah, they're very voluminous. Lots of leaves, very spread out, kind of. Very different ranges of color, because I'm seeing a lot of dark leaves, and then there's
lighter ones,
and
And so if you remember the white tea from our last tea club, which we went ahead and boiled, we're doing this in a very different style. We're using the Gung Fu style, like the small vessels and stuff like that.
Right.
And another key difference was that white tea was in caked form. It was cake, compressed into a cake. And this one, you can see it's very loose.
Right.
Yeah.
It is very loose. I remember somebody mentioning on the tea we did tried last time, the white tea, that it would have been better if we had continued brewing and trying it further.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you ended up trying that, or did you not have any left over at that point to attempt?
I did not boil it again, but I did Gung Fu it a couple more times. So, no, I didn't actually have a chance to do it in sort of the way that he suggested. I think I know who you're talking about as well.
I don't remember the viewer, but
yeah,
somebody specifically mentioned it.
So the aroma part of this is a really like important part of the whole process for you, right? Like the aroma is something that you tend to really appreciate or enjoy as far as like teas go.
I would agree. Yes. It sort of gives me like almost like a preview of what I think the tea is going to be like, and then it doesn't always tend out to be exact as to what I smell versus what I taste. But I definitely enjoy that part of the whole smelling it first and then trying it out and comparing and thinking about it.
Gotcha.
This one smells very nice. Very florent, I guess. I don't know, very flowery.
Yeah.
As you would expect with white teas, I suppose.
Yeah. It's always interesting because like some of those lighter notes. Yeah, I would say that's accurate. To me, this one smells a little bit more floral, a little bit more vegetal, a little bit more grassy than like the previous white tea. So it's always interesting because I think those are notes that you would associate with white tea. But usually when you're aging tea, especially pu'er and also oolong, those top notes, those like very floral notes, are the ones that are going to age off the quickest. So, in some sense, I'm just not sure what to expect some of the time. So we are using very close to boil. The water was boiling right before we flipped on the recording switch of the camera. And so here is steep number 1.
Nice.
So it's brewing up a pretty light color so far. sort of like
light golden color.
Yeah, that's a good description. A golden color.
Still pretty similar. The second steeping of it as well.
Yep.
In terms of color, I suppose.
Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting because like usually when you have like a oolong, especially if it's something like a rolled oolong, like a Tiaguanin for instance, they start out like really small, and then as you steep it out, they'll start to take over.
Oh, yeah.
But like we dumped this white tea in, and it immediately just takes over the whole Gaiwan. So as a result, I think we would expect it to hit top speed a little bit quicker, sort of like a Wooey does, because the Wooey will also take up a good chunk of the Gaiwan.
You're right.
Yeah, but
I agree. I mean, I don't have anything to add to it, but that's a very good observation.
Yeah. All right, let's get drinking.
Let's try it. Cheers.
So I think so far for me, this tastes fairly similar to how it smells. What do you think?
I would agree. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I'm finding it hard to place, flavor-wise where it stands, as far as describing goes, because it feels somewhat different than anything I've tasted.
Do you think it tastes similar to the previous white tea that we had?
Ooh, I'll be honest. I can't. I can't very well remember what the previous white tea tasted like, but I want to say this is different because then if it tasted at all similar, I would have been able to recall it.
Yeah.
So, but what's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree that they do taste different, and for me it's also a little bit tricky to flesh out just sort of how I feel about the teas and the differences of them, because like you, I'm not drinking aged white tea or white tea very often, so so it's interesting, and I think a lot of it also depends on how it's aged, but I would say for me, the previous month's tea, the 2008 caked version, had sort of like a simpler, rounder form to it, maybe a little bit bigger body, and this one I think is more so like it's sort of how you pointed out on the first time. It's like more floral, a little bit more grassy, a little bit more vegetal. And I'm gonna kick this up a little bit and infuse this for maybe 15 seconds, and we'll just see what we get out. It's possible that it'll be a little bit more bitter, but we'll see if the profile changes much at all.
Right. This so far it's not too bitter necessarily.
Yeah.
It's a very low bitterness range, and kind of very very easy to kind of be able to drink. One of the things we talked about last time, in episode 69 was, would you drink white tea more often, or that specific tea even? And I remember that my first opinion when trying out that tea was that I probably wouldn't be drinking it a whole lot. It would be a very occasional, maybe once a month or once every 2 months. But this tea so far gives me a feeling that I would want to try this more often.
Got it. So you think that this might be more towards a profile that you would be able to drink more regularly?
Yeah, it could also be just a more mainstream taste on this tea specifically. So.
Do you think it might taste a little bit more similar to oolong, maybe?
It does come very close, as close as white teas may get, I think. I wonder if part of it has to do with how long it's aged.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at the leaves, like, would you be able to tell that this is a white tea?
No.
Yeah, I mean, like, I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Just because the leaves are fairly dark. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe people that know more than me would be like, no shit, you should be able to tell that's a white tea. But for me personally, I wouldn't. The leaves are pretty dark. They definitely, it's not like a silver needle cake or anything like that.
Right.
So,
right, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. So it seems W2T tends to do a white tea and a pour tea.
you know, that's
Generally?
I
Is
think
that
that's just how this club has been the last 2 months. So the 2 months that you've appeared with me on the episodes have been the only 2 months they've done aged white teas. So
Interesting.
So
Okay.
it's partially coincidence and maybe just Two Dog or Paul, the owner over there, is hunting down that specific type of tea, and so he's found a couple different ones that he thinks are interesting.
That's awesome. I think I like it because, again, the same thing we said last time is I wouldn't go out of my way to try out a bunch of different white teas.
Mhm.
And this is... So, what, James, what have you been... does a day look like as far as teas go? The different types of tea you drink in a day.
Oh, for me it really depends because a lot of times I'm doing tastings for TeaDB and so sort of coordinated tastings, like tasting a lot of teas from some tea genre.
Right.
But usually for me it's a lot of pour.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of more mature, older raw pour or semi-aged raw pour.
Okay.
And I'll also drink oolongs occasionally, darker oolongs generally speaking. What about for yourself?
It's generally medium to high roasted oolongs, and I don't even tend to go through that many different teas within a day or even within weeks of time. I tend to keep just the same tea going as far as until I pretty much run out. So this is definitely a good change of pace for me.
So
I've been drinking, for example, I forget, I think it's a 2014 Kong that I got from Yunnan Sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been drinking it for a good 2.5 weeks, it's been constantly through my workday, and then at home every once in a while I'll try something different, but this has probably been like 90% of the tea that I've consumed in the last 2.5 weeks.
Gotcha. So you will you'll have your bag open, your bag of Kong in
Yes.
this case, and you'll just drink it until it's gone.
Definitely. That's definitely...
So you're like the guy that gets like a song that he really likes on Spotify, and then he makes a playlist. But the playlist is only like that song, maybe another one, or maybe if he's feeling crazy,
Maybe.
3 songs.
3 songs.
And he'll just put those 3 on repeat until his mom starts banging on his door telling him that he needs to change his Spotify playlist.
Yep.
You're that guy. Except you don't even
My
have 3
family
songs.
is fed up
You only have
of
one
Michael
song.
Jackson songs. I can handle more variety as far as music goes, but yeah, definitely a little more static as far as the tea, going through different teas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you tend to prefer, sort of like you said, the darker oolongs. Is that right?
Yeah, I love them. Wui and Kongs have been good options as far as oolongs go, and I think I've strayed very little from that. Thanks for speaking, by the way.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about this?
It's getting a little bit more it's getting. I think it's getting a little bit more on the vegetably end, but
is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
I personally see that as sort of a tea coming to the end of its course, or getting closer to it. Or that's my stopping point personally. It'd be interesting. Again, I haven't had a lot of white teas, and so it'd be interesting how far other people might think this should go on, or if they think it's run its course.
And it does seem like it is running out of steam. I do think that we could probably go for a few more infusions if we wanted to, but it's not. These last couple steeps, I pushed the steep time pretty hard. It's gotten on the edge of bitterness, but I would still say that it's not bitter. It hasn't gotten super thick either.
Right.
So I think like you said, I think it is. We're starting to see the tea run on its sort of last legs, or getting close to there.
Right. And it's definitely, I think the tea itself has gone down as far as the amount of aroma that we were able to notice. Flavor has, the original tea flavor has also kind of gotten lighter over the last couple of steeps. So that kind of like overall makes me think that it's kind of run, come close to the end, and I think like this would be a good point to move on.
Yeah. So, last question about this tea. Would you choose this tea? I mean, obviously we're working from different sessions and we haven't had these teas back to back. What do you think about the values of this tea versus the 2008 white tea that we had on our previous session on TeaDB?
I personally, I think I like this tea. I like this tea a lot more, in fact. I did say that I didn't remember the previous one, but I remember my impressions on it, and I thought that was a tea that would perhaps be something that I would try less often, and I think I would be willing to give this a try far more often.
Gotcha.
And I'd still want to make up my mind over time. It would change, but I like my first impression is I like this tea.
Cool.
Yeah.
And for me, I think just real quickly, my impressions is. I'd grade them about very similarly. I think the first tea we had, the 2008 caked white tea, I think it was a little bit easier going. I think this one's a little bit more complex. There's a little bit more vegetal, grassy, floral notes going on through it, whereas the other one was just a really nice, simple drinking sort of tea. So I think that one would be a little bit easier to enjoy. There's just a little bit more going on in this tea, so I could understand people gravitating towards this as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be right back with the TeaDB tool. Awesome. See you guys soon. It's going to be a long episode.
Yeah. I hope you were okay.
No. Yeah, it's good. I think we got better as it went on, too, so. That's kind of why I did the Periscope, too, so we could get warmed up.
That's a good idea, actually, yeah. Was the one we tried last time